Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Moon Colony live stream, and happy Friday. We're finally there, the end of the week. It's the only day that I actually remember what day it is. Every other day I forget. Um, so today we've got Alex Heath back with us again today. Hi, Alex.
Hello. Hello,
Um,
everyone.
and because it's October and it's kind of spooky season, Alex came to me with a really interesting idea. I'll let him explain it because it's sort of more your idea than it
Multifaceted.
is. Yeah, it's a bit more multifaceted. I'll let you explain it. But as always, like as we go through, if you have any questions or anything, or you want to chat about whatever, then we can find time and talk about it.
Oh, we can,
Yeah, go
for
ahead.
sure. Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's October, as everyone knows,
Hi, hi.
spooky month,
Mm-hmm.
or coming up to a spooky month. Um, and I was actually looking at, sword timber, and I was like, oh man, I didn't even know that was a thing. I wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I can't exactly do a sword timber in October on the stream. So then I was like, well, what could there be? And then I was like, oh, OCTO-BER, as in
Yeah.
octopus, October. So then that got me thinking. And yeah, I was just thinking about what to do. Uh, and I've been watching a lot of like found footage sort of films
Mm-hmm.
recently, going back into like Blair Witch and
Nice.
Cloverfield and all that kind of stuff because I'm into that. And yeah, I was like, oh, I'll do a found footage like octopus kind of image
Mm-hmm.
with a bit of a moon colony twist to
Nice.
it, and so that's what we've got.
Yeah,
But there's also a PSD that,
there is.
if you want, you can uh, you can follow along kind of and make your own spooky found footage deep sea
Mm-hmm.
exploration kind of spooky image
Yeah.
as well. Because like I'm not there's the effect of it being done in the end is actually quite cool,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't have to be you don't have to be like mega at painting or anything even to get this uh, going, because a lot of it is all about suggestion and texture and what you don't see, So
That's fun.
uh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there is this PSD, and it has this very low resolution ocean floor image TM uh, in it. And this is good though. We want low res for this because it goes along with the like VHS sort of camcorder, or in this case like deep sea submarine filming equipment.
Yeah.
For some reason, wherever there's monsters, you can't have like
HD.
4K.
Yeah, 4K resolution cameras. Yeah.
You can't have what is considered pretty standard camera equipment for the day anymore.
No. Well, it's the
No.
monster having an effect on the camera. It's actually 4K camera, but
Yeah,
he's just shy,
but it's
so he knocks the
yeah,
resolution down a bit.
in it exactly. So yeah, we're gonna use this as the basis for that
Hmm.
uh, image today, and like we'll get to these, but there's some text in here,
Yeah.
um, and we're gonna use these later. And there's also this little reference. Why is this
Yeah.
here?
Oh, it's
Hmm.
Nyx. Hmm.
Yeah. So maybe that's something to do with that will make an appearance.
Suspicious.
Anyway, we'll make a start with this.
Yeah. So you can
Um,
find the PSD. I've uploaded it onto the Discord. So if you look in the streaming channel on there, then you can download it from there. And as Alex said, do your own little sea creature, octopus, whatever it is you like
Playing.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And the beauty of it is you can just do whatever you want. Like it could be whatever.
Yeah.
It's all in the suggestion.
Yeah.
Uh, and the reason I'm using this photo is a few things, but one is it gives me like a lot of information and stuff already,
Hmm.
which is great. But it gives me a color palette to work from, and because this is going to essentially be like somewhat realistic in the way that it looks
Hmm.
in the end. The idea is that it does look like a bit of found footage, like you've paused the tape kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's important to have some kind of realism to start from, because it's quite difficult to like paint this up from the beginning and like it be super kind of well resolved. So a little bit of photo bashing kind of technique in here, which is not something I do really that regularly at all. But yeah, when I do use photos, I always like to try and use quite low resolution stuff anyway, because it is a lot easier to paint over and integrate painting and photographs together if the photograph is lower resolution.
Okay.
Because there's like, if I have a 4K photo, then if I use a texture brush that is like this,
Yeah.
and this texture is kind of fairly low res, the fidelity doesn't match, and you can really see the bits that are painted and the bits that are photo, and they never quite gel. Or you have to spend a while like messing with the photo enough that the fidelity of it is matching that of your texture brushes. And yeah, there was something that I learned a little while ago, that when I first was like a junior basically, and we were doing a lot of photo bashing stuff, that I was always looking for like super high res pictures, because I was like, yeah, this needs to look real. And I'm like shooting myself in the foot, because it took so much work to integrate. So like, as you can see here, if I use this texture brush and like paint into this photo and color pick from it, that the pixelation of the photo and the sort of low res texture of the brush, those two things are like one and the same. You can barely tell where one thing
really well.
Yeah, so that is a little tip for you. Obviously there is some instances where like really high quality photos are needed. Like you'll see in The Last of Us, when the concept art for the first game especially, they use lots of really high res photos to put these photo bashes together. But part of that reason is that they were also using like high res 3D models of characters and like other game assets together. And so again, it's like if they're using 3D assets and they're really high res, high fidelity renders, then the photos need to sort of stand up to that kind of quality. So there's a reason to do it, and obviously those are really like crisp kind of 4K looking images as they are. So it works there. But like when I was working on The Division, for example, all that stuff was like fairly dark and low res, so we could get away with it a little bit more, and it was just a lot easier to work on.
The concept art for The Division was really cool though. Like I've seen a few bits online, but yeah, that looks like, I think you can tell there's a lot of like photo bashing in there, but it still looks really nice.
Yeah, for real. It was cool. That was like the first AAA title that I worked on as a junior.
Wow.
And yeah, it was like got thrown in at the deep end big time.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. Yeah, those concepts are not easy to put together. Like looking at them, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, it was good fun. It was kind of, I was going home in the evening, so, and just like I'm trying to remember the name of him. John Sweeney is the guy who worked at Naughty Dog, and he had these like tutorial videos on like how to photo bash the Last of Us environments, and I was like going home after work and like watching those for like 3 hours, and then coming back to work and being like, okay, I actually learned something.
Yeah. No, that's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty cool. So I'm just preparing this like seafloor image here. What I'm doing is painting over it with kind of a noisy brush to integrate some of the, well, to integrate the painting and the photo together. And I'm also, don't know how well this shows up on Twitch, but maybe it does. I'm selecting this darker green of the background and using the color sliders. I'm like slightly pushing the hue, in this case, more towards a red. And with that noisy brush, like starting to brush a little bit of that in. And then over here, we've got a bit more blue, for example. These are like introducing very subtle hue shifts into the image, which are just kind of visually more interesting overall. But I'm also, thinking about like an older sort of camera or lens or whatever, or the fact that we're really deep under the ocean, that the refraction of light is such that it might like in the lens like split the color spectrum slightly, so you get this kind of aberration of color in the image. It just kind of adds to the slightly otherworldliness of what's going on in here. And we'll do a bit more like sort of chromatic aberration later on, but I'm just sort of setting the stage, as it were. And the other thing is I've added this like slight kind of curve in here, and this is to do two things. One, it's like, again, a bit of sort of wide angle lens distortion. I don't want like this sort of perfectly flat underwater horizon, if you like. But also it's going to slightly mimic what I'm going to do here, which is, with like a mini submarine, and it's got a torch, right? That's providing light to the floor. And that is going to have like a sphere of influence, which I want to use to bring about the sort of the mood and the kind of lighting that I'm looking for in here. So it's got an overlay layer here, and I'm starting to add that lighting. I used white initially to sort of get a value. I'm going to start putting kind of something a bit warmer in there. And I will sort of paint into this floor a tiny bit to, just make the overall effect of this look more like a painting overall than, like a photo. Spooky stuff.
Spooky stuff. Let's see. Oh, hi Laura. Welcome.
Hello, Laura.
I thought you'd be here out of everybody. Hi Kathy, hi Lemon Emlyn, Melissa, Capric, Gwendaru. Nice to see you all.
Welcome everyone. Welcome. So I've got a textured brush here. I'm gonna like block out a little bit of this kind of texture in the floor. Like I said, it's like even this is a little bit too high detail density for kind of what I'm after, and so I'm just using the palette of it and a noisy brush. This is just the old one from the past. From the past. You can use any kind of similar noisy brush to this. You'll get a very similar effect, but it's just to sort of match fidelities. And a good texture brush used like this, as long as you're changing the scale as you go front to back, you can really sort of indicate the perspective well, because you have larger shapes up here, you make them smaller as they go back, and you'll just trick the eye into like seeing the distance, if you like. Overall. And we can get a bit abstract with this as well, where the edge can come up. But we're just trying to set a sort of a scene, a bit of a noisy atmosphere.
There's no way that I could be in one of those like deep sea submarine things. I'd don't know why anyone would ever want to do that.
No, you gotta be mad.
Yeah, like I would honestly rather go to space than go under the water. You know.
I would go to space, yeah, over going underwater like this,
Hmm.
like anytime. I wouldn't even get in a submarine like on land, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just in case. Yeah.
Just in case you
Okay.
get surprised, they're just like, surprise, you're going like however many thousand feet under the water. Have fun.
They're like, yeah, they're like, welcome aboard this deep sea operation surprise trip.
Surprise trip. Wait, 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 wait. No, no, no.
Yeah. You're like, what? What do you say?
I thought this was a museum.
Yeah. Where is the cafe?
Yeah. Surprise birthday present. Yeah.
Yeah.
They all start singing happy birthday as you slowly submerge yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, can anyone tell me where the gift shop is?
Yeah. Uh, when's your birthday, Jaden? I'm asking for a friend. Uh, hmm. My birthday is actually on New Year's Eve. So have fun.
Word.
Have fun trying to find a like a submarine expedition on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, it'd be an expensive one.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, I heard you can probably get pretty cheap tickets to on a Titan sub.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that too actually. Yeah.
I heard they do a good kind of deal.
Yeah, one-way trip, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe for my 30th, treat myself.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm like just very sort of roughly roughing out some maybe like tentacles or something
Mm.
in here. The color of this is not so important right now because we're gonna mess with it. I'm really just looking at getting like an interesting shape uh, and stuff going on.
Yeah.
I think you can just obviously draw tentacles however you want, but I think it's always nice to get uh, like interesting and sort of parabolic curves so that you have just kind of visual interest within them
Mm.
and try and think of like the flow of them and such. I'm also you don't know this yet because I'm not there, but the focal point of the illustration is going to be like here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm also trying to think about leading lines with my tentacles here that are going to sort of frame up where my focal point is going to be in here. So,
Mm-hmm.
but like I said, the actual you don't need to be very neat with this in this particular illustration. It's not an illustration where details are going to be that explicit. Anything like is always going to be suggested in these kind of found footage, kind of spooky things.
Mm-hmm.
And the texture brushes are going to do a lot of work for us when it comes to this. So I'm just kind of roughing this out as we go.
So when you say you're trying to do sort of leading lines with the tentacles towards that focal point, like what's the thought process kind of
Okay,
behind
so
that?
yeah, I'll do it in teacher red.
Nice.
So basically, I would like my like focal point to be on this third of the image and also in the top third of the image, like basically here.
Yeah.
So I would like anywhere that your eye enters the image to get stuck basically on a track that takes us here.
Okay.
So if my eye, if my eye entered the image from here, for example, that I can get onto a line, which will be indicated by the contrast of the background versus the contrast of the subject, and this line should take me in here.
Okay.
Likewise, this is kind of an area of high contrast, right? Lightest, darkest.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be able to like grab the eye and take it in from these places and so on. So a lot of these tentacles and lines are basically going to either like surround this or bring the eye into this
Okay.
in a way. And you could also think of it maybe as like you might see like the sort of Fibonacci spiral kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's also kind of a way that you could sort of guide the eye into the image. But yeah, essentially I have a goal of this being the focal point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just complementing that with my kind of line choices to help pull the eye there essentially.
Yeah.
But you can do this. It doesn't just have to be tentacles, right?
Oh yeah.
This kind of works. This works with like any image, any illustration that you're creating, like the way that you frame it up, the lens that you use, all of that kind of thing is in a way composing an image to help show off the focal point. So yeah, with tentacles, it's just kind of easy.
Yeah, because
to do so.
they can do whatever they want. They can just go their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you could make this image like a lot more unreadable in that sense by not thinking about it. Like you could have your tentacles going off and like, for example, you could have tentacles that like cross each other loads, like this, and create loads of like right angles. And instead of your eye getting onto like a flow that goes this way, if I have like a tentacle that goes across like this and this, essentially I break up that visual flow. Like I hit a junction and then either I go like this way or this way. Or, do you know what I mean? I just add
take it more on a journey.
complexity. Yeah, add complexity where it's not needed, and so on. Eventually, yeah, you'll find that you've made it something like really unreadable, or like unnecessarily complicated. And the thing is, with that kind of composition, if you make it very difficult to sort of for the viewer to get to the focal point, like visually, then if you've got something like quite subtle within the narrative, like a particular facial expression of a character in the illustration that you're trying to get across, or a gesture that they're doing, or something that the character's grabbing that you need to be aware of, if you obfuscate that from the viewer too much with basically poor decisions, then the point of the image will get lost on your viewer. They won't understand what's happening, and then the narrative isn't clear, and then suddenly nothing is like memorable or decent about your illustration. They'll just be like, what was that? I don't really get it, and then move on.
Yeah.
Whereas images that kind of the composition has been thought about and has like very well directed you, maybe even subconsciously, to that viewpoint, that you remember the image, and not even necessarily for the way that it's painted or for any of those reasons. You remember the image because you understood the narrative and what was being shown to you, and it was kind of clear, and you're like, wow, that was great. Like it's like reading a good book,
Yeah.
So I was just drinking out of the Moon Colony mug, which I got from Concept 101.
Oh, man. You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
I know.
It was quite funny bumping into you at Concept 101. I almost didn't recognize you.
Yeah, this happens when you only sort of see people online, and you're like,
Yeah.
wow, they're taller than I thought they were.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. But no, I mean, Concept 101 was great. I had a really nice time.
Me too. It was really cool.
Mm.
I do like events.
Yeah, yeah. I've only been to the only one. Yeah, the only ones that I've been to so far have been Concept 101. I went last year as well, but yeah, this year was. I think this year was a bit more busy.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't get to speak to as many people this year
Yeah,
as I did last time. I did watch some more talks though.
yeah. I didn't get a chance to. I didn't get a chance to go and see any talks. But then again, I'm not really an artist, so it's not like I'd get a massive amount from them. I think.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't also get an awful lot from them, but
Yeah,
that's not because the content is bad or anything. It's just I'm not really learning from
yeah,
them
yeah.
so much. And like, yeah, I don't know. Some talks, I only really like the sort of more educational ones
Mm,
anyway. I think that they're kind of like good value for attendees.
hmm
But like anything that's like someone just showing their portfolio or like people like goofing around
Yeah.
or anything like that, I'm just like, what was the point in this? Why did I just watch this for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Um,
I feel like it's a bit like Concept 101 is a bit different because it's for free. Like it's a free ticket thing, so it's like, well, yeah, I guess it's.
yeah, that's
I've
true.
not really lost out. I mean, I've lost 20 minutes, but you know, but yeah, I see what you mean. It's a bit more interesting. Like I think it would have been cool to have seen the. There were people there that did like concept art or illustrations for Alien. I think
Yeah,
this year
yeah,
that would have been cool.
yeah, for real. Who's this?
Oh my god, it's Nyx.
I forgot what he looks like.
What's he doing in there?
He's messed up, mate.
Yeah.
He's in a bad way. Okay.
Daniel
So
said, Daniel said, I made a magma board with this background and posted it in the Moon Colony General Discord chat if anyone wants to join. Oh, yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Feel free to use a magma board for it. It's a great idea.
crazy technology the kids have got.
These crazy kids. Yeah, carry on. What were you going to say?
God knows.
Nothing.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So I've sort of established here generally the sort of, let's say, posing of this, and I've indicated some texture and so on. But what's really going to make this start to come alive, no pun intended necessarily, is a few things. Like we want to get an idea of this sort of torch light, this kind of underwater light hitting the surface. And what you find a lot in a lot of these like found footage illustrations is like you have the camcorder, let's say, and then it has a light that's coming from where the lens is. So everything the light hits, is casting like a very hard shadow backwards, and it gives it this like very sort of immediate kind of look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it creates these like long shadows that come back from the lens essentially. And that also is what sort of stops you seeing much detail in the shadow. because you get this very like high contrast lighting, and that's what the camera's picking up. So then the camera exposes for the lights, and you see like basically nothing in the darkness. Nothing. So we're gonna add a lighten layer in here. So far this is just 2 layers, right? We got the background layer, and on top of that a normal layer with an indication of my writhing tentacles thing. And on top of that we're going to make a lighten layer. If you don't know how lighten works, basically if I pick a value, let's say for the sake of argument this kind of gray, and I paint this on here, you will see that any value darker than this gray becomes this gray. And so if I darken this gray, you'll start to see that certain parts of the image will start to like show up differently. You see, like here, and so on. So this is a really handy layer if you're looking to make like a light source bloom or so on, or in this case, like if you've got particles in the water from like the sand being kicked up and they're being illuminated by a light source. If I kind of start to put this stuff in here, you'll get this sort of kind of camera bloom kind of look. And there's a few other things that I'm going to do in here, but I'm going to pick some of these values from the octopus itself. Start to sort of put these into the back, and maybe I'll even go a little touch brighter here, and maybe slightly warmer bloom in here. And then what's cool about this is if I mask this, again, imagine we have the lens and the light is coming from like either around it or next to it, but basically it's coming from the lens, like from our point of view. So if I sort of mask this out and I can take a hard brush, just something hard and round, I can like indicate these shadows, these harder cast shadows that the tentacles are going to form of themselves. And this is going to give us this like effect of this sort of camcorder light that is positioned where the lens is, and it starts to look out. And I'll just sort of roughly indicate these in and then adjust the values, but essentially it gives you this sort of torchlight, sort of found footage lighting straight away, kind of very Blair Witchy overall. And like I'll mess with the values in a second. I'll just do these shapes for a little while in here. But yeah, this is something I was looking at quite a bit when rewatching movies like Cloverfield and Blair Witch Project and Apollo 18. Have you ever seen that one?
I remember seeing it advertised when I was younger and being like, that looks terrifying. Because I when did that movie come out? Like,
yeah, I want to say it came out like could have been like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was 2011. So yeah, I would have been 12 years old when that came out, and so I saw the trailer and was like, no.
Nope. Get me out.
Yeah, I don't know what it's like. I don't know how good it is or how scary it actually is. But
it's pretty good for the kind of found footage type film. It is. Like some of them, they're like, yeah, we're doing a found footage film, and so they literally make a found footage film, and it's nauseating to watch because it's
Yeah,
sort of
it's just
the
this the
camera.
whole time.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
shaking the whole time, and it makes it really horrible to watch.
Mm.
But like other films that sort of mimic the found footage thing, but don't actually sort of film it that way, manage to sort of get a nice balance between the feel of it, but not actually making it like that. And Apollo
Yeah.
18 was kind of one of those for me,
Yeah.
where it wasn't like completely nauseating to watch.
Yeah. There's some of them as well. I'm trying to think of any examples, but they're leaving my head. Where they kind of start off like a found footage movie, and then I think like halfway through the movie they're kind of like, well, we don't know how to we don't know how to do this now. We don't know how to carry on the rest of the movie in this found footage format. So I guess we'll just kind of half give up on it.
Yeah,
um,
it's weird.
yeah.
The Blair Witch 2's like that. They sort of were
Yes.
just like,
Yeah.
they're like, hang on, we'll just do a bit of it, and then we'll just completely give up on the idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's super weird.
Hmm. I think
Um,
the only I'm trying to think that the only found footage movie that I watched the first Cloverfield movie.
yeah,
Um, and then I watched. Is it called Wreck?
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I watched
One
Wreck.
that's in the apartment block.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's like a Spanish movie,
Yeah,
or
yeah, it is.
yeah. That was that was pretty good from what I remember. I remember really enjoying that.
Yeah, the Spanish version's really good. They did like an
Mm.
American remake of it, like shot for shot remake,
Oh no.
as well, and that one isn't good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
There was that whole era of like US movies where they were like, ah, we'll just take a foreign movie and Americanize it. It's like what they did with the Ring.
yeah, and
They
Let the Right One In, if you ever saw that
Oh,
one.
I didn't see that one. No,
Um, have you seen the original?
no, I've literally never heard
Oh,
of it.
okay. Oh, it's real good. It's a vampire movie.
Oh, lovely.
Um, and the original one I believe is Swedish.
Mm.
Uh, and it's about like a little boy in an apartment block, uh, and his neighbor uh, is a witch. Sorry, a vampire.
Mm.
And she has, she never ages, so she has the appearance of being like a 12-year-old girl, but she's actually way older,
Mm-hmm.
and she lives in an apartment with uh, a guy who's much older. So the impression is that like you don't really. It seems a bit weird, like this older man's living with this like 12-year-old girl, and
Mm.
she's not allowed out the apartment.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
just like
Interesting.
you're like, oh, what's going on here? Um, and yeah, without spoiling any of it, it's really good. Um,
Oh, I have to watch it.
really, really good film. But there's sort of like a twist,
Mm-hmm.
which I won't spoil. Which you then like, it really makes the story. You're like, oh my god.
Oh,
Um,
I have to find somewhere to watch it.
yeah. But it's called Let the Right One In. But they did an American like remake of it called Let Me In.
Ah, okay. No, that's a that's a bit less. It's a bit less of like an ominous title, really.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so silly. It's just like they really like ham up the tension and the violence in the Americanized version of it as well, where you're like,
Yeah.
you kind of watch the American one and you're like, I don't think they understood the source material.
Yeah. Well, that's like with Did you ever see like the American version of The Grudge? Because that was very similar. Where
Yeah,
it's like I don't think you kind of got it. But
yeah. It was like,
that's great.
but yeah, Let the Right One In, really good, really worth watching.
Yeah.
I'm sure you might be able to get it on one of those like foreign film movie services like Mubi or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, yeah, possibly. I have to take a look.
It's got to be like a really kind of high-grossing international film, I'm
Mm,
imagining, because it was really good.
yeah, I literally never heard of it before. There's a
That's,
there's a guy on YouTube that I watch. I've mentioned him on the stream before, but he talks about a lot of horror movies, and fairly recently he's been doing quite a lot of British horror, which tends to be quite interesting because when I think of horror movies, my brain almost always goes to that like Americanized,
yeah,
like
like a
American.
slasher flick.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, whereas British horror is really interesting because it just tends to be really depressing. Like it's a lot less about monsters and like creatures in the night and more just like there will be like monsters and stuff in it, but it's not about them. It's about like the character drama between people, and the monster kind of works more as like a metaphor for how miserable they are.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Just like the real horror in the British horror movies is the fact that it's set in like Grimsby or
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah, yeah. It's set in like rural Ireland, and it's like, oh, okay,
yeah. Okay, yeah, that is pretty sad.
yeah. um, but yeah, it's like done by this Irish guy. I always forget his name every single time. Um, but yeah, great, like, amazing YouTube channel, and he's like introduced me to so many really interesting films. Like, not all of them are like masterpieces, but some of them have like just something that you can kind of appreciate from it, and you can kind of glean from it.
Yeah, I remember my stepdad was really keen for us to watch American Werewolf in London.
Oh, classic. Yeah.
It scared the living daylights out of me as a kid.
I think I watched American Werewolf in London when I was like maybe 14 or 15, and I haven't watched it since, but it didn't scare me. I remember just like seeing the like werewolf transformation and just being like, that is so cool. Like the practical effects that they did in that is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Same with like the original, not the original, but like the Thing.
Yeah,
The, like the body horror in that is insane.
yeah. I love it so much.
Yeah, that's really good. I was listening to the audiobook of At the Mountains of Madness, the Lovecraft,
Mm,
because
yeah,
I've never actually listened to it. Um,
yeah,
and yeah, I was like, oh man, you can really see where the Thing got its influences from. Like it's really all in there. It's very cool.
yeah. There's a uh, there's a great board game that me and my friends have been playing recently, and I think it's called like Mansion of Madness or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
it's kind of a shame because it's one of those board games that you need to have like an app to to play it with.
Oh, okay.
Um, but there's like loads of different stories you can do in this game, but they're all very like Lovecraftian sort of stories, and one of them is great.
Oh yeah.
It's like we were laughing because it's kind of ridiculous, but it's a really good game where you're like an investigator or a group of investigators in like the 1920s or 30s, whatever, and you're in this old museum, and people keep people keep dying in this museum, and like things keep moving and stuff like that. So they think that someone's breaking in. Uh, so they hire you to like scout it out. But
Yeah.
as the game goes on, like every few turns, it might be like one of the characters that you need to speak to or have spoken to dies, but they do it in such a stupid way. Like one of them, me and my friends literally finished talking to this person, ended our turn, and then it goes into what they call like the mythos phase, which is like
Right.
the game's turn. And
Right.
this woman, this woman is walking down a corridor. She slips, like nearly hits her head on this like unit, like this shelving unit or whatever. But she luckily catches herself, and we all sat there like, oh man, that was close. And then and then out of nowhere, a bee shows up and stings her,
No.
and then she dies from from a like a really strong bee allergy, and it's just like it's like the dumbest thing. In the middle of a museum, it's like why
Just,
what?
just anaphylactic shock out
Yeah,
of nowhere.
yeah. And the best bit is like it doesn't take into account like where your characters are. So one of my friends, his character was stood right next to her this whole time, watched it happen, and just didn't do anything because it doesn't. It,
Yeah,
it's like out of your control. Um, but it's hilarious. Like the rest of the game was great, but just the way that they kill some of these like characters is absolutely insane.
they've also done like the kind of weird thing that really only translates well, on screen, where they do like a fake jump scare before the actual
Yeah,
killing.
yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like she had this thing that you thought was going to kill her, and you're like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
And, and then the bee's like,
Yeah. It's so funny because it's like it it is supposed to be like all like sort of paranormal sort of stuff framed as accidents, but
yeah,
the, but you can just imagine like whatever like demon or whatever or god is killing these people off in this museum clearly just got bored and really just wanted to have a bit of fun and was like, and then she slips. No.
yeah.
And then a bee
Like, no, no,
comes.
no, wait, it's a bee.
It's a bee. Yeah. He's got her list of like medical records in front of him. It's like,
Yeah.
bee allergy. This will be
Oh,
fun.
interesting.
Yeah.
We like it.
Yeah.
That's great. There's a board game, you might have played it, called Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yeah,
You ever played
I
it?
have it behind me. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But
that's it's brilliant, that game.
when I played it, I made the mistake of taking it to a friend's and being like, yeah, we should play this before actually reading any of the rules. And
Wow.
it's one of those games, I think, where you have to spend quite a while actually reading it and figuring out what the hell is going on because we did not play it right at all. Like,
Yeah, I think as well, I've found with it that it's kind of like they didn't test every single scenario that's in the book,
yeah.
because some of them are like so insanely one-sided that it's impossible to win. Like,
Yeah.
if you're like the betrayer,
Hmm.
or some of them, like the survivors, are like insanely OP because it took so long for you to like start the haunt
Yeah.
that you just can't win. Like,
Yeah. I need
yeah.
to play it again. I'm going to a friend's in like a couple of weeks for like it's not really a Halloween party, but it's close enough to Halloween that I can probably get away with bringing a spooky board game with me.
Yeah, you can. You can.
But yeah, I might give it another shot and read the actual rules properly first. It was a while ago that we
Yeah.
played it, so I can't really remember what we did that felt wrong, but it just was like, I don't know.
I know what you mean, though. I've had similar experience with parts of the game where I'm like, this can't be. We can't
Yeah.
have done it right.
Yeah, because it kind of ended up
Um,
that like everybody just kind of went their separate ways in this house, and we didn't really know what we were supposed to be doing. And then it was like, cool, one of you is the betrayer, and it's oh well, we know it's that guy, so we'll just stay away from him. Like it's fine. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's difficult. One of my favorite games to play around Halloween is Escape from Aliens in Outer Space. That
Oh, what's that?
that's a great game. So I think you can play with more people, I think, but the default box comes with like five of these whiteboards, and
Right.
the idea is that you you play mostly in silence, really. Um,
Okay.
everyone gets a whiteboard, and you all agree on uh, what map you're going to be playing on. And the idea is that you split the group in half. So if there's four of you or six of oh yeah, I think you get six. If there's six of you, it's 3 humans versus 3 aliens. And the idea is for the humans to get from like the middle of this space station to the escape pods,
Right.
but you don't know where any other person is at any one time
Oh,
because you
okay.
all have your own whiteboards, and as a player you're like, okay, I might move from like D3 to C1 in a turn. So you do that jump, and if that tile is white, then you say like noise at C1. But if that tile is grey, then you say quiet in all sectors. So no one
Okay.
knows where you are. So you're like trying to,
Uh,
as a human, you're trying to get from the middle of this spaceship to one of the escape pods, like
Silently.
as
Okay.
quiet as
Yeah,
you
I get you.
possibly can. But as an alien, you're you don't want to let on that you're like nearby someone. So if you think you know where someone is, you want to try and get to them without them knowing that you're getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like a really interesting game to play, like when you have a group of friends, because you're all sat there like kind of giggling to yourself because you're like
Yeah, you know.
you know that you've just sort of totally um, totally misled somebody, uh, and you can play with like different abilities. So like certain aliens can have certain power-ups that let them like pretend that they're a human, or they can or a human can activate an alarm in one area, so then they can be like, oh,
Yeah, okay.
I'm actually in C5, but I can say that I'm in D3 like once every game. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. Um,
That's cool.
and it can be really atmospheric. Like when if you the first time I ever played it, I was sat around a friend's house and we were all sat around their like kitchen diner table, and we had one light on, and it was the one above the table, and we put on like the Alien soundtrack, and
Yeah, nice.
it was like so atmospheric. Um,
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, and it's great as well because if you play with like the max number of people, so I think it's 6, there's not enough escape pods for every human to get out. So then it becomes a game of like, cool, there's one escape pod left, and there's 2 of us remaining. So it's like,
Yeah.
do I race you there, or do I try and cut you off and kill you so I can get out? It's a lot of fun. I can totally recommend it. It's fairly cheap as well, I think, because there's not a massive amount to it. It's literally like some cards, some whiteboards, and like a whiteboard pen. So
Sweet.
yeah,
Yeah, totally down for that. I'd be into that.
yeah,
We always put like spooky music on for Portrayal.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. You got to do it.
it's really good.
Yeah.
It's part of the Atmos. You got to
Mhm.
have it.
Yeah,
I'm just doing the spooky check. Pretty spooky.
that is pretty
Um,
spooky.
so yeah, while we were chatting, I put a bit of basically integrating like the creature with the ground by introducing like silt and stuff that's been kicked up. And this is just another like excuse as well to obfuscate certain things,
Mm.
So you can like cover up any parts that, would take a little bit of, like the end of these tentacles and stuff. They're quite messy, right? It's But if we introduce like silt and bit of texture, then we sort of cover up anything that we don't need to spend too much time painting on, and we get a bit more obfuscation, which is the name of the game in this, because everything's more scary when you can't properly see it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna add a little bit of like more vignette to the image in here. We also suggested a little bit of texture with the same texture brush that I've used for everything on this so far, the ground and everything, just a little bit of texture in the tentacles where they're facing the light. As you can see, there's not like an awful lot of detail in here. It's just hue shifting and a bit of texture brush work, but it works quite well to suggest something rather than overtly rendering it.
Yeah. Poor Nick.
Yeah, he's in a bad way.
Yeah, he's not having a good time down there.
There's gonna be something else I add here as well to help with the read. But it's gonna sort of paint into this a little bit first.
Yeah. No, people in chat, if you have any like horror movie or horror game recommendations, then throw them in, because I always struggle looking for horror movies, like good ones at least.
Have you seen Underwater?
No, it sounds like a nightmare though.
It's it came out during COVID, if you remember that.
I do, yeah, just about, yeah.
Yeah, it came out during COVID, so it didn't have much fanfare because obviously it was originally slated to go into cinemas, but that was not able to happen. So it kind of just went under the radar, but it's got Kristen Stewart, the girl from Twilight.
Yeah.
And she's like the main character. And it's set on like a deep sea drilling platform in the Mariana Trench.
Oh, great! Yeah, if you're gonna drill anywhere, why not?
If you're gonna drill anywhere, it may as well be 7 miles down.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's kind of like if you took Cloverfield and like Alien and set it on a submarine. You know, it's kind of that feeling. It's very cool though.
That sounds terrifying. Like the underwater, anything underwater is enough to set me off. Like gets my palms sweaty.
Oh yeah.
Like I was saying it on a stream. Was it the one on? Might have been the one on Wednesday actually. I was saying that like it can be even a game that isn't a horror game. It can be like a kid's game or whatever. As soon as I'm underwater, I'm like, nah, this is creeping me out. I don't like it. I think it's like a childhood trauma sort of thing.
Oh, real. It's called thalassophobia, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's like fear of deep water, which I mean it's pretty much the same thing, right? So but yeah, I don't know, maybe I'll give it a watch. I can see that it's on Disney Plus, so I should be able to watch it.
There you go. Yeah. So I recommend it as a good like horror sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It was very underrated because obviously it didn't really get a release.
I was gonna say it's like
I think it would have done quite well.
Yeah, I was gonna say on Rotten Tomatoes, if you can even take that for anything, it's only got like 2,000 ratings, which is not a massive amount when you think about it.
And it's got the funny guy from Deadpool, you know, the guy that owns the bar.
Oh yeah, something Miller. Is it TJ Miller?
Yeah,
Something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in it, and he's basically that same character.
Nice.
He's just left the bar and joined a deep sea drilling operation.
Drilling operation. I feel like he's one of those. I feel like he's one of those actors that is like that's
Completely
it's
typecast.
yeah. It's like that's just his role now. It's like no, you are funny. You are funny sidekick man. That's your thing.
Yeah, yeah. Off-brand
Yeah.
sidekick.
Yeah. Hi Lisa. Hi Honest Gamer 101. Nice to see you. Lisa says vouching for Underwater too. Yeah. Cool. I'll definitely check it out when I feel up for it. When I feel up to it.
When you grow up.
Yeah, when I grow up a little bit and stop being such a crybaby, I'll do it.
Yeah, you could get like a little paddling pool in your living room and
Yeah.
like sit with your feet in it and watch the film. It'd be like 4D cinema.
Yeah.
Get real scared.
But no, please stop. I have nightmares about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I watched it not really knowing what to expect, and then by the time you see some of the ghouls, the monsters, I was like, oh, they're actually like really quite well designed. I quite like this.
Yeah.
And ended up really enjoying the movie. So
That's cool.
yeah, blood.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, mate.
What an absolute ripper.
Ripper, dude. I was just been adding little suggestion of like suckers and such onto these guys. But again, like all of these things, that everything's about like suggestion, and you don't want to go in and like over detail this kind of image. It's all about just suggesting what's happening, and letting like brushstrokes tell the story rather than overtly describing things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was going to be something that I was going to add into this area, which again was going to help the focal point, because when you want to draw focus to something in an illustration, you will use a contrast or multiple contrasts. Like you will want to say contrast values. You want something like really bright next to something really dark, for example. That's one way to increase contrast. But you could also do it with shape. Like you could have very rounded and flowing shapes next to something that's very very hard and like verticals or right angles, etc. You can have like color saturation, right? You can saturate your colors in your focal area so that you have like less saturated colors flowing into more saturated colors, and you create a contrast by doing that, so on and so forth. So in here, I want to obviously create this like this contrast in here so that you definitely look where I want you to look. So I can do this in a few different ways, but this image like mostly is made up of quite sort of soft textures, right? We have the sort of softness of the tentacles. We have the softness of this kind of silty, sandy ground. Even the softness of the appearance of the image overall being a bit more of a like wash of textures.
Yeah.
But if I introduce like a much harder surface into this, I'm going to instantly create a contrast. So what I want to do here is create the sort of the dome of like the space helmet, the glass dome in here. But how do you paint something that's see-through?
True that.
True that. What do we do? Well, this will enable me to use like another contrast, which will be that of value, where we're going to have the lighting from our light source, the torch, reflecting off of this glass, and that's going to enable us to see the form of it. but it's also going to give me like a really bright value that I can use again to draw the eye, like bing, right here immediately. So, this is the reflection directly of like the mini sub and the torch that's coming from it. So I'm going to sort of do these like really tiny kind of like scratches in the surface of the glass.
Yeah.
That catch the light that's reflected straight from the torch, like this. And also, if we imagine, obviously, way above us is like the surface of the water. There might be like ever so slightly like a little bit of light, ambient light that comes down or something. And as this like glass turns away from us, as a reflective surface, basically becomes more. What would the angle be? Basically, as a surface turns away from us, as the angle between like our eye level and that surface becomes flatter, the surface becomes more reflective. So, and this is called the Fresnel effect. And if you stand at, say, like the edge of a lake and you look out across the lake, as the lake gets kind of closer to being flat like the horizon, it's going to reflect more of the sky, so it seems really bright. But if you look at the water directly below your feet, you're going to see straight through that surface, and you're going to see much less of that reflection. So you can see your own feet under the water, but if you look like 10 meters in front of you, you'll just see a reflection of the sky. And you can do this, like you can go outside and look at a car, for example. If you stand in front of the car, stand in front of the bonnet of the car and look straight down at the bonnet, you're just going to see like the local color of the car. So if it's a red car, you're just going to see red metal. But if you look up at the roof as that's kind of turning away from you, you're going to see near enough like a reflection of the sky. So that red car is basically going to look like the blue of the sky and not red. And that's the Fresnel effect in action. And this can help us see, for example, like here, that this, even though glass is invisible, we can use the Fresnel effect to sort of indicate that back surface of this. And we'll be able to sort of see where this is. Now this needs to have like a really hard kind of reflection to it. So I'm just grabbing a hard brush. But essentially, we're looking at this Fresnel effect at telling us where the edge of this back part of the glass is.
Right.
As it's reflecting any sort of ambient light or something that's back there. And this obviously is like the direct reflection of what we're seeing, because it's seeing us basically. So yeah, but I mean, you can see this on like any object that is kind of reflective. Like I'm looking along a table that's the other side of the room here, and it's reflecting the sky out the window. But if I look down at my table that's dead in front of me, I see the local color of my table. I don't see the reflection of the environment or the lights around it so much.
Yeah, Yagi J says that they like to do that with hard floors, like in a long hallway, like corridor.
Yeah, exactly. There's a really nice painting of I'm trying to remember who did it, but there's some guys that are kind of planing a wooden floor. It's an oil painting, and there's light coming through the window, and like where they've planed the floor is obviously quite shiny, so it's like the floor is now reflecting the view outside the window, whereas the closer to you within the painting, you're just seeing the wooden floor. And it's an oil painting. It's really good, and it's the same thing that's happening there.
That's cool.
But it's an oft used technique to show something like there's a guy called Scott Robertson,
Okay.
an older artist. He's really good at explaining perspective, and he does a lot of like vehicle rendering stuff. He has some really good free YouTube videos about rendering shiny surfaces, and he goes very in depth on like how to understand the Fresnel effect and how to render metal really well,
Yeah.
and other such shiny surfaces. Um, and they're really well worth a watch. Like everything I know about rendering metals and glass and stuff like that is from Scott Robertson.
Hmm.
So check him out.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So I've noticed the effect before, but I've just never known like what it was called.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hmm.
It's it's one of those things that it's like if you sort of basically learn a little bit about how it works, even if you don't like fully understand it to like a scientific degree or anything,
Yeah.
just knowing that, oh, okay, this surface should get more reflective as it turns away from me. You can render with that information alone. You don't really need to understand anything more in depth about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, it helps. At least it helps me to understand like why, because then I can maybe use it in circumstances that I can logic my way into figuring it out rather than just being like, oh, it only applies in this particular circumstance.
Hmm.
But yeah, I find it really helpful to know this kind of thing.
Yeah. Man, that's looking really nice.
Well, thank you. Yeah, zooming out and flipping it a lot, you can get a good impression of it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, essentially, there isn't too much going on really. Like,
Hmm.
when you get down to it, it's all this like suggestion and flow, but
Yeah.
that's what really makes these kind of things work.
Let's say that kind of makes it
There's artists.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. You're not like sitting here sweating over a render. Like we'll have this image done in the time slot that we have,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and it's yeah, I mean it's cool. You can do it in that time slot. It's quite easy, and make it as a postcard for your mum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get it printed off for her.
I hope you have a good submarine trip, Mum. Happy birthday.
Dear mum, enjoy the cruise with Dad.
Yeah. Yeah. Enjoy the cruise. Avoid any icebergs.
Yeah. Remember, more of the iceberg is under the water.
Yeah. Than over.
If you're on a beach and the tide suddenly goes out, it's a tsunami.
Yeah. More postcards need to have that kind of information on it. No one sends postcards anymore, but
No, yeah. And look how many people are getting caught.
Exactly. Look how many people are getting caught in tsunamis and iceberg incidents. Happens every day.
Yeah.
Did you say Scott Robinson? Robertson? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Robertson.
Robertson.
Robertson. Yeah. His YouTube channel is really good.
I will post a link. Oh, is this the same one? Wow. He does like a lot of
He's got
hard surface stuff.
Yeah, it's all hard surface basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a book called How to Render
Mm.
as well, which is really good.
Yeah.
He's
Severine goes, Robertson, the legend himself.
Exactly.
Yeah. He's got a video on how to do a freehand ellipse, like a ellipsis, like an oval.
Yeah. The goat.
What an absolute legend.
Total legend. Okay. So, I mean, I'll draw on this a bit longer, and then we'll start to use all the text and other things that are in this file.
Yeah.
Because a big part of the whole found footage thing is to have, low quality camera as standard, and therefore low quality image. So we need to put a lot of that sort of what do you call it?
Like
artifacts,
like I was thinking distortion. I was like, that's not quite right.
Yeah, that's probably the word I was looking for. But like, yeah, that kind of VHS distortion and artifacts and so on in here, obligatory. It has to happen. I was kind of tempted to try this when I was thinking about it in here. I don't know if this is like too much. I was like, oh, maybe there could be some kind of spooky green like light in here that's hitting the underside of the skull.
Yeah.
But I'll try it really quick, put it in, see if I like it. Could just be too much. Might be enough to just be spooky,
Yeah. Would it be like a little light in his helmet or something?
Yeah, like or like, something that's coming from the creature but that's coming into the helmet,
Yeah.
A bit spooky like that.
He's having a rave.
Yeah, just having a little mini rave.
Yeah.
After the last stream, I had a really good chuckle about Copper Bob.
I totally forgot. I totally forgot about Copper Bob. When you started that sentence, I was like, last stream. Okay, what did we do last stream? And then Copper Bob. That was it. Man.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend.
I was trying to explain it to my wife afterwards. I was like, yeah, and like, Spider-Man and Copper Bob. He's like,
yeah, it's like sat there like, okay, great.
Yeah, sure. Like, what did you what?
And you got paid for this?
Yeah, like, and this is like a professional thing.
Yeah, we like to keep things semi-professional. Yeah.
It's the law,
Yeah. I'm sorry, you can't draw you can't have like a superhero troupe and not have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking we could do some kind of Copper Bob stream at some point.
I'm down. You don't have to, you don't even have to ask.
Character design stream, Copper Bob.
Copper Bob character design. It's just like, you got Copper Bob, and then you've got Copper Bob who's older and he's slightly green.
Yeah. Patina Bob.
Yeah. Okay, now I'm sold.
Yeah. You weren't before. It's now.
Wow. I think the real tragedy was that I'm pretty sure I remember us saying that Copper Bob was trapped in that suit. Like, he's not like, he can't get out of that. So...
Yeah. Everyone thinks that he's in there because, like, he wants to be a superhero and he's in the suit, but no one can actually hear him in there being like, I need help. Yeah. And they're like, thanks for saving us, Copper Bob. And he's like, listen, please, I need to get out of here.
It's so hot in here.
I'm so hot. I'm wasting away.
I haven't eaten in years.
Yeah.
I'm on slushy food. I'm on pure mush.
Yeah. He's like eating his fingers and stuff.
Yeah. Copper Bob's Aunt oxidized Jane. Oh man. I want like a whole comic. I want like a whole comic on Copper Bob. You know,
Yeah.
who's Copper Bob's love interest? You know, what's happening here? Do I want to ask what's going on? Yeah. Yeah, you do.
Go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
So, if you hadn't seen the last stream that we did with Alex, it was on. It was on like
it was drawing in the Pano Painter program.
Yeah, that was it.
and
Yeah.
we were drawing a kind of superhero composition to sort of talk about dynamic composition and to use like off-brand characters instead of talking about like Marvel characters. We had the Avengers but renamed.
Yeah, so it's like the Spider Boys or something.
The Spiders-Men.
Oh yeah, the Spiders-Men.
It was like, instead of Spider-Man, there was several guys known as the Spiders-Men, and yeah, Copper Bob was Iron Man, and Thanos was rhymes with Thanos. It's Schmanos.
Schmanos, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that was so.
And
stupid.
so on. It was.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've got the link. So if after this, go and watch it because I think it gets progressively worse. Throughout the whole, like it just like it starts off having like a pretty like level-headed conversation, then it just breaks down into like the lore of each of these people.
Yeah, and it makes little sense.
Yeah. Under any scrutiny, it falls apart. But it's a lot of fun.
But yeah, the Copper Bob has been living in my head rent free
ever since. I mean, that's how you know it's a good idea. You know, that's how you know it's a hit.
Yeah, when it doesn't pay rent and it's in there.
It's just yeah.
Like I can't even remember like phone numbers that I need to remember, but I can remember.
Yeah.
Copper Bob.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I want to just like just one comic book about Copper Bob, and it'll be like really anticlimactic because it's Copper Bob. So it's like it's just super lame, and he doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
Like,
he's just like stuck in his shed for ages because he doesn't have any articulation in the fingers and he can't open the door.
The whole thing is like is the equivalent of it was just a dream, but instead it's just Copper Bob sat in his shed contemplating what his life could have been like if he could move in his copper suit.
Yeah, if he got out of his suit.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
One Punch Man, but with no emotional bits. He's not that powerful. He's made of copper. He buckles under like any kind of pressure.
Yeah, it's like severely rusted.
Yeah.
So it's got like green patina all over it.
It smells like an old penny.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think the green light kind of works.
Yeah, it's I like it. Yeah.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's use some of this text
Mm-hmm.
So we've got record, classic,
Love that.
love that. And we also have in here rewind,
Mm-hmm.
also a classic VHS.
Yeah.
And we also have MC,
Oh,
Moon Colony,
Colony.
Deep
Nice.
Sea. So yeah, this is the video, and then that's the date. So we
Mm,
got it all.
nice.
So yeah, I'm gonna play around with some of these. What I want to do.
You know what? You need the pause, like the two lines, show that it's been paused.
Yeah, we can make that. We can make
it's
that.
it's pretty easy.
We can do that one.
Yeah.
All right. With this rec one, I'm gonna give it some like, you mean like pause at old tape, and like
Yeah.
it kind of screws up the
Yeah.
the tracking a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna take the hexagonal rectangular lasso tool and just basically select bits and shift them over of varying length and size. Just give this a bit of a glitchatron.
That's great.
Technical term.
Glitchatron. Nice. The
It's
lost
glitchatron.
the lost transformer.
Yeah. 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 He listens to like Skrillex and they threw him out of Cybertron.
Guys, I
They're
found
like,
this new music. It's called dubstep.
found this music from Earth. Yeah. Found this music from Earth, and they're like, glitchatron.
Again?
Yeah. Must we listen to Skrillex's album again?
Glitchatron's like, he wants to go on a road trip, and everyone's like, no, 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 we don't.
Yeah, we're done actually.
Yeah.
That's spooky.
That looks good. Yeah. It kind of shows where my brain is at when I was like, is there going to be like some weird like Photoshop filter that you can throw on stuff to just make it like VHS-y? And it's like, no, you just do it manually and it's really easy. I was like, oh yeah, of course. It's not that deep.
Yeah, it's not that deep, actually.
Yeah.
There is a bit. There is that coming though as well. There is some other stuff we can do, but yeah. We'll get you first with the rec.
With the rec. Hell yeah.
Get wrecked. And then we need the cycle, but
oh yeah,
I'm gonna make the circle out of
a square.
Squares. Oh. Out of squares, yeah. Because
we're playing Minecraft on the stream today.
Yeah. I've never played Minecraft.
That's a crime. I was actually speaking to my friend and like a colleague that works here at Moon Colony, Katie, and she was playing Minecraft last night and just had like no idea what she was doing. And I played Minecraft when it was in like alpha. I was like 9 years old, 10 years old. So I've been playing it. I played Minecraft for like almost most of my life. And it was the most painful thing that I had ever seen.
He's just watching someone like basically fumbling through something you know so well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just like, it got to the point where it's just like me just being like, no, don't put that there. Click on the block to your left. No, right click on it, not left click on it. And it's like,
yeah.
But it just baffled me because like we're the same age, but she'd like never played Minecraft before, and I was just like, I grew up with this game. Like everybody I knew in school played it, so it was just like a given. That I don't know. It's just crazy To me, it's
Yeah,
like it's like when someone's like, I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. It's like, what?
like what? How?
What do you mean?
Why are you here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, can you have record and rewind at the same time? Who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares?
You know, call the cops if it bothers you that much. Come on.
Call them. Go on.
Go on. I dare you.
This is where I get swatted.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, please don't. I always find that such a that was such a wild thing. It's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, oh, this person's just streaming. Cool, I'll just call the police and say that they've got like, they've
A gun.
got a gun or bombs or whatever. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It's crazy that you can do that.
I mean, yeah, I always thought that. I was like, I know that they kind of have to take it seriously, but they just kind of no questions asked, just kind of go, yeah, sure, we'll send a SWAT team round and like kick their door in. So
Yeah.
wow,
Like,
okay.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely do that. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, yeah, it's like like no questions asked at all. It's terrifying.
Yeah. I like that, back in the 90s where, you would order like a pizza, but you paid for it at the door, and that's just the way that it was done.
Yeah.
That's a thing. And like, so at some point you could actually just order pizzas to someone's house, like 30 pizzas. and that someone would turn up at their door expecting to get paid for 30 pizzas, and like that's just like a legit like
thing that you could have done.
thing
Yeah.
that you could have done. And you're just like, yeah, well, just sod it. Like,
I think on the Domino's app there's still an option to pay in cash. So I guess you could still do that.
like you could sign up under someone else's name and
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I suppose, have you ever seen the people who, when they're at like a Weatherspoons, they'll be like, this is my Weatherspoons, this is the table I'm at, and then people will just send them like bowls of peas or something. It'll just be like, they'll just send like the most random stuff to their table. But the only difference is that they're paying for that. So it's like,
yeah,
it's kind of just giving them free stuff.
yeah, I want 7 bowls of wasabi peas, please.
Yeah. Man. When I was in university, we had some stupid stuff at Weatherspoons. Like, we made it like a tradition that you would. I said it's like a joke. You'd look at someone and you'd be like, "Are you okay? You look a bit sad. Are you all right?" And they would just look at you. They'd be like, "No, please, please, no, don't." And you'd have ordered them like 3 of these like Weatherspoons, like cookie dough and ice cream sandwich things, and they're like they were amazing. They were really good, but they were so filling. And you would order them like 3 of them, and you would just sit there and watch while they like the waiter comes over and is like, "Who wanted 3 of these?" It's like, "Oh, they did." And you pass it to them. And it just became a thing that every time anyone asks you like, "Are you okay? You look a bit sad," you just instantly just like, "Please don't. I can't. I can't. I'll be sick."
I don't want 3 Sundays.
Yeah. I don't need this.
Okay, text glitched.
Nice.
Yeah, fairly easy thing to do. You can obviously just like search for VHS glitch overlays on Google, and there's all sorts of ones, but I think it's a bit more fun.
Yeah.
Customizing it and doing it yourself.
Yeah.
And I just got this text. I just typed in like VHS text generator, and
cool.
it will let you download, because I didn't have the fonts that I needed. But it'll just let you like type in the word you want, and then you can download a little PNG file with the text. But it's good for getting, yeah, for fonts you don't have, and they're all like free to use ones, but you don't have to like download them and put them into a program like Word or whatever, type them out, that and the other, and so on. So yeah, that's where I got those from. But let's do a couple of things with this image. One thing I want to do with this straight away is to duplicate the image. Well, not duplicate it. This is super copy. So I believe it is Control, Shift, Alt, and E together.
Okay.
And that will basically, whatever your image looks like at the moment, it will make a copy of it. So like if I turn these layers on and I hit super copy again, it will make a version of this image with this text on it as flat, you know? So it's whatever your image currently looks like. So all of these layers are turned on. This is what it looks like to me now. Let me just delete that. If I select my topmost layer, and I've just got it on one button, but I believe it's Control, Shift, Alt, and E. It will super copy, and now I have a flat version of my image on top of everything, and I didn't have to like merge anything or stuff like that. And this is really helpful. I use this all the time. At the end of images where I want to do something that affects the whole image, like adding filters or noise or anything like that, and it's instead of like selecting all my layers and copying them, it just does it for you. It's quite helpful. Or if I want to do some quick changes to an image, and I don't want to mess around in the layers, I can do it on top of a super copy like this, and then I'm not destroying anything. So cool. So yeah, what I want to do is add like a little bit of chromatic aberration to this. So I've super copied the image. I'm going to double click on the image. And by the way, what I mean by chromatic aberration is you have a camera lens, right? It has glass in it. If you have like a cheap camcorder, the multiple pieces of like lens in that glass, they don't exactly like line up like super good. And this, you can even get this on like much better lenses, but on cheaper lenses you'll see this loads more. But basically the light coming through gets refracted, right? And so on those lenses, at the edges, you will start to get chromatic aberration, and it's basically where the light's being refracted and the separate colors of the spectrum aren't like lining up on top of each other anymore. So you get this like, it looks a bit like old 3D glasses where the red is like shifted off one side and the green shifted off on the other. And that's called chromatic aberration. And Photoshop has a lot of tools to remove chromatic aberration in it, because it's, for photos. But because of that, you can also put it back in. So it's quite easy to do. So if you double click on the layer itself, I'll just cancel this and do it again. So outside here in this little gray area, if I double click here, click, it opens up the box. And if on the channels, red, green, blue, if I like just turn off blue and green, click OK. I've now got this image, but only the red channel. So if I like zoom in and I pre-transform, so Control T, I'm now moving the layer. I can shift shift the image over a little bit, and as you can see here, we now have the red channel. And basically what I've done is just shifted a copy of the image, but in the red channel only, moved it to the side, and so now we see the red, and this is basically chromatic aberration, right? And I can super copy, turn that layer off, super copy the image again, and this time do the same but leave the green channel, and this, and then and move the green down a little bit. And so I brought this like chromatic aberration in where these highlights, they look like they're kind of blurring out a little bit, and this gives you that real like VHS look because the TV screen is made up of red, green, and blue, like what they called, like cells or cathode ray thing.
Yeah.
But either way, you get the separation. It's very kind of VHS-y, and old camera-y looking. But it can also make your highlights appear brighter in a way. Like when you just have white, you have the contrast of white against a dark background. It's bright, it does the thing. When you have chromatic aberration, you still see the white, but now that I have the complementary colors around that white, what you're starting to get is a bit of a vibration because the way your eyes are set up, the cones and rods in your eyes, the reason we have complementary colors is that those colors cannot be sent as a signal from your eye to your brain at the same time. So like orange and yellow can be sent at the same time. They're like similar part of the color spectrum.
Right.
They're not opposite on the color wheel to each other. Those two signals can be sent at the same time given the makeup of our eyes and how we see light. But if you have red and green, or like blue and yellow, or blue and orange, for example, anything that's opposite each other on the color wheel, those two signals can't be sent at the same time. So your brain gets red, green, and that's why they appear to, like, you get this sort of shimmer or this kind of vibration. It almost appears blurry, right?
Yeah.
Because of this, because your eye is getting these signals alternating. It gives you this shimmer. So if you want to make like a white highlight appear to be kind of brighter or really like incandescent, or like, it's like super hot reflection of sun on metal, if you edge that white with complementary colors, you will get this kind of shimmer, because you're actually messing with the signals that your brain is able to receive. There you go.
That's really
Science.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Science. It's pretty cool, right? Science, brah. And so that's really interesting. Yeah, and I just made it up as well, so it's not even true. No, it is true. That's why you'll see that in a lot of like older paintings, like a John Singer Sargent painting. He'll use like a big splodge of white in a highlight, but then you'll see when you look closely there'll be like a really, really like bright, like cadmium red, like tiny stroke next to it, and they'll and so on, and they'll use this kind of shimmering to kind of make something like oil paint, which is intrinsically not that bright, compared to light, really sort of sing. So it's much easier to recreate digitally, obviously, but
yeah. I'm gonna avoid the fact that you mentioned John Singer Sargent uses a technique to make his paintings really sing.
Wow.
I'm gonna avoid that pun.
Yeah, we didn't hear that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same with the text here, but I'm just gonna turn the opacity of it down a little bit. Same with this stuff. Wow.
Laura says that she uses the chromatic aberration for highlights in paintings to saturate the whites, like the little dots of white you paint in the eyes or metals.
Yeah.
Makes it bloom out.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of place that you want to be using it. You don't want to do it like everywhere either. It's it is something to do sparingly. But it works to really good effect. It was like a massive what's the word? It was like really popular to do at a certain point in time. Like chromatic aberration at some point in kind of concept art and illustration really had like a heyday.
Yeah.
Like it was like everyone was doing it. It was in every tutorial. And so it got a bit of a kind of like meme status associated with it.
Yeah.
But that seems to have like fallen off a little bit, and so we can bring it back again with the newer generation.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Laura, for the hydrate redemption. I have a little bit of water left, so I will finish it. Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of chromatic aberration in like video games as well, and it's one of those
Yeah.
settings that I almost always turn off because I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like being in my eyes, like that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. It's like on like Call of Duty, for example, in all the settings, they have like motion blur
Yeah.
and like film noise and stuff. You're like,
Yeah.
what? I'm making this game harder to play.
Yeah. Yeah, motion blur, bloom, chromatic aberration, and
Yeah.
and lens flare.
Yeah, lens flare. I love
Like
lens flares.
lens flares look great. When I'm playing some video games, I don't mind, but it's like I'm not wearing a helmet or anything. Like there's literally there's no like it's just my eyes. Why am I getting lens flares in my eyes?
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
The four horsemen of the finished pictures.
yeah, exactly. We're gonna use a few more of them here.
Yeah.
Okay, this next one. So text, everything done. This is on top of everything else. I'm gonna fill the image with white,
Oh, that looks good.
and it's done.
Yeah.
And then just make sure like the black is now your front selected color. Then we go filter gallery, and there's a world of
my eyes.
There's a world of BS in here. But you can get some really good effects in here. I wouldn't like, again, these are sort of like super. If you filled your portfolio images with all these kind of effects, then you wouldn't get a job. But lo and behold, I have used some of these to quite some lucrative effect, specifically this glass and ocean ripple. If you need like stealth or cloaking effect edges to something, like someone's turning invisible, or like you get some kind of like magic, or maybe, hang on, I'll quickly show you because it's easier to show you. Yeah, if you imagine this effect, but in that context, on here, these ones can be super useful to give you like, yeah, this sort of stealth effect or energy kind of field. And if you use it like kind of mask it in sparingly when you're doing something that requires that look to it, ocean ripple's another one that works quite well for some stuff. You can get really cool looking effects that way. So that you have to play around with a lot of these to get like something usable. You can just like slap it on and be like, yeah, done. But this glowing edges one is really good if you want to get chromatic aberration on your brush strokes.
Yeah.
You know, if you select like this one and then use it on like color dodge and stuff, you can get some really cool effects with it. But yeah, anyway, this one that we're doing, filter gallery. Where is it? Sketch, halftone pattern, and by default it will be dots.
Right.
But if you change this to line, and we'll make these quite small, hit OK. Wow, look, I've got lines.
Nice.
Really hurt your eyes kind of.
Yeah, I was going to say that
lines.
is like garish. Oh, nice.
Yeah. If we put this on soft light, and like we can play with how much we see it. I don't want to see it like tons, but maybe somewhere around like sort of 40%, something like this. You could even like turn it up a little bit more and then say like with a soft brush, mask it out a little bit on places that you want to see a bit more of what's underneath, you know, so like here, you can selectively like play with it.
Yeah.
But it adds like a little bit of this VHS-ness. But what you can also do is I'm going to super copy the whole image again. And then, yeah, using the sort of rectangular lasso like we did with the writing, we can just like start to, you know, move sections of the video See, I've convinced myself now of this, so that we kind of introduce these sharp horizontal cuts and edges into this, and that's going to give it this like, we've paused the video, you know, it's kind of like buffering. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all used VHS tapes before.
Yeah, we've all tried to watch a film that was filmed at the back of the cinema
yeah.
on the VHS recorder, and it's buffering at like 140p, and we're like, wow,
this looks great.
I think I should have just gone to the cinema.
You wouldn't download a fish. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love as well in that, like, it's not an ad, it's like I don't even know what you'd call that. When it's just literally the person leaves their PC on and it's just downloading, and then a big download bar goes across their whole screen.
Yeah, no matter what it was that was being downloaded, it was just, if you were downloading, your computer was like letting you know, like, download. You're downloading right now. Like, well, okay.
You wouldn't steal a car. Or would
you wouldn't download a grandma.
Yeah.
I would.
But you
wouldn't download more RAM. Correct. Aside from like the side to side glitch in here, what also works quite nicely is if you like slightly enlarge a portion, so that now the lines don't sit next to each other quite so well, and it again, just a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That glitch.
That glitch.
Yeah.
Will there be a VOD of this stream? There will. Yeah, it should be on YouTube. Pretty much as soon as this finishes, it should be on there. If not, it's gonna be on Twitch for like 2 weeks or something. So plenty of time.
Yeah. All right, and then something I wanted to try. Let's see. Yeah, this one. So I wanted to take a section of the rewind, just because it works quite well. Just like this midsection. Copy. I wanted to maybe introduce like something, again, like when you pause a video and you get this sort of noise that comes across the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go crazy with all of these kind of things. There's a really good inspiration if you just type in like VHS glitch effect black background into Google. There's like a million different versions that you can like download and mess around with, but or just get inspiration from. That's basically how I got the inspiration for these, was just looking on there and being like, ooh, that's a cool one.
There's a guy I watch on YouTube who records all of his videos through a VHS recorder, and then like digitizes them.
Oh, real? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like layering up the
so
distortion.
It's like, well, he doesn't even layer up the distortion because he's not doing it to make it look bad. He just likes that like VHS aesthetic. So
I see.
He's just using like an actual VHS recorder to record the video, and then like putting the that he then has like a VHS to digital like conversion thing so that he can edit it properly. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of effort, but it looks really cool. Although it's really strange if you've ever seen like VHS tapes, but with like modern day audio quality, and
Yeah. Okay.
it's like it's really strange. You're like something here isn't right. Like the video quality is all like grainy and a bit crappy, but the audio is like crystal clear. It's
Yeah, and you're like, so this is being faked.
yeah, yeah.
All right, and then the very last, the very last thing that I'll do on top, and this is one of the four horsemen of finishing images actually, uh, is new layer, fill it with 50% gray. So just make sure H and S are at 0, so hues at 0, saturations at 0, but B's at 50%.
What is B?
B's black. I don't know. B's at 50%. That will give you 50% gray on here. Why 50%? Because you're going to be using overlay, so you don't want it to affect the image brightness. Yeah,
Oh
you're right.
yeah, brightness. Yeah, that would be it. Yeah,
Nice one.
we're professionals here.
We're in it. So 50% gray, then filter, noise, add noise. Make sure monochromatic is unchecked. You can choose Gaussian or Gaussian, uniform. It doesn't really matter. I usually go for something around 20 to 30% on here. So now I have this nice like
No.
noise. But if I put that on overlay, you can see it just adds the noise, but it doesn't like mess with the values too much on the image.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see here, obviously that's
No.
very VHS-y.
Your stream cut out.
Oh no.
We can still hear you, but we can't see it.
Okay.
Perfect timing. It's like and you can see here as it's gone. There we go.
As it's gone.
Yeah. There we go. You're back.
Okay, wicked. Yeah, so what I do with this as well is like kind of vignette this out a little bit. So on a mask, I'll like do basically much less noise over my focal area, and then like let that noise be more prevalent at the edges, just so that you can still kind of see what I'm doing in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that maybe just a final multiply, darken down the edges, but yeah, essentially that is the idea, to get your spooky.
There you go. That
Your
looks
spooky image.
That looks so good. That's really
It works,
cool.
right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the fact that it only took like 2 hours as well is it just goes to show how much you can like you can hide a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, for real. You can use the inherent crappiness of the medium to make up for any skill in rendering whatsoever, basically.
So, that bit doesn't look that great. It's fine. We'll just stretch the other side over to cover it up.
Yeah. There's what kind of really inspired me apart from the movies is there's a really old painting by a guy called Sergei Kolsov. He used to go by Pelling online. I've got it as my background image here. I'll be able to show you. But yeah, it's this image here.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
And you can see like the chromatic aberration thing I was talking about around the eye and so on. But yeah, this image is really cool because again, it's like that found footage in the forest kind of thing. And yeah, I used to love this when I was.
Gave me a bit of a shiver down the spine.
Down the spine, spooky.
Spooky, yeah.
So there we go. That is mine. I hope everyone can make their own cool versions
Yeah.
with your own cryptids.
Yeah, if you guys do, if you have been following along, or you're maybe watching it in the VOD, then share it on our Discord. I'd love to see it, and I can always, point Alex towards them and be like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
So yeah, post
No,
them
I'll
there.
come on. I'll come and lurk and have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let us know. Thank you, Alex, as well for coming and doing this for us. I mean, it's so cool. Like, I wouldn't have even
No, you're welcome.
thought of this idea. So I appreciate you coming up with it and coming and doing it for us.
There's
Nice.
no probs. That was good fun.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, everybody, for watching. I hope you really enjoyed, and it seems like you all learned quite a lot, even if it was about just all the cool effects that you could do, and the four horsemen of finished illustration. But yeah, we'll be back for another stream on Monday. I say we Moon Colony, not we Alex, unless he really wants to. But but yeah, so we'll see you Monday. Thank you everybody for coming along, and have a great weekend, everybody. So see you later.
Peace. Bye.